Hello, everyone, and welcome back for some more Showtimes, the podcast where I sit down and talk with people about movies and TV shows that we have seen and maybe like and don't like. Today on the chopping block, we're talking about Wonder Woman 1984. It's a
Yes.
movie. With me today is Jared, you may have heard.
As always.
So,
far,
Jared, what did you think of Ghost Rape, the movie?
Ghost Rape, the movie, is that?
Ghost Rape, the movie.
I don't think it's titled that. I think it's titled Wonder Woman 1984.
No, but it's like the most prominent thing that they do. Jared, this movie kind of stinks on toast.
Okay, I think we have two differing opinions on this, because
I think we do.
Didn't hate it as much as you seem to.
I'm not gonna say I hated this movie, but it wasn't enjoyable. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this. Wonder Woman 1984 is a sequel to 2017's Wonder Woman.
But yet the prequel to Justice League.
And yes, somehow a prequel to a movie that has already come out and simultaneously not come out, to the Snyder Cut.
Well, it's also the prequel to Batman v Superman as well.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But we don't want to talk about Batman v Superman because that movie stinks even worse.
That movie's awful.
That movie is terrible. Oh, God. Anyway, Wonder Woman 1984, a story about Wonder Woman moping about and occasionally fighting a sort of not really stand-in for Donald Trump.
Well, not Steve Trevor. God damn.
Yes, Captain America. Continue, him and Wonder Woman.
Okay, well, I said Steve Trevor, not Steve Rogers.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
No,
now, I look the fool.
Maxwell,
I'll reverse that in post.
Maxwell Lord is a villain in the comics. It's just
Yes. He's a terrible villain. He shouldn't have been a villain ever, actually. That's a terrible idea. But we're not talking about the comics. Okay.
He didn't start out as a villain, though.
No, he didn't.
He's just one of those kind of in-between people who he borderlines sometimes.
Well, he wasn't a bad guy, and then he became a bad guy in a really stupid plot twist that makes sense.
Well, then he had his mind freed of mind control or whatever, and he was just kind of a shitty businessman after that. Like, he was basically what he was used for this movie, and what he was for a long time in the comics was just a con man.
Sort of. Yeah. Again, that really doesn't, it's not a good plot twist in the comics. I like him better in this than I do in his comic counterpart, especially in the ending, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But basically, this movie can be boiled down in Wonder Woman fights and then mopes for about 45 minutes, and then does some more fighting, and then the movie ends.
It wasn't moping.
Oh, it was moping. Like, I get that you want to say that she's still sad about this dude that she knew for like 2 weeks 80 years ago, but whatever. That's cool.
It'd be like 40 years ago.
No, because they were in World War I, and World War I happened significantly earlier than World War II, my friend. You're pushing nearly 70 years at that point.
Well, it was the end of World War I, so yeah.
Again, you're looking at the 20s there at the earliest, so 60 to 70 years. And she's still moping over this one dude she knew for 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah, so World War I ended in 1918, so
yep.
Yeah, you're looking at about 65 years.
Yeah, and like I say, she's... and don't get me wrong, I get the idea that, she loves him so much, but there's really no reason why she can't love someone else, like, just as much. I get that he was her first, and that you always remember your first, but that's not true. I don't remember mine. Granted, I don't remember a lot of things, but I'm just saying, there should have been a cutoff point for this, where maybe she, like, found somebody else, or did something else. Okay, well, we're getting off track here. This movie has 2 openings, and that pisses me off.
Well, I mean, you have the whole Diana as a little girl doing and she does this stupid
obstacle course thing, and she gets disqualified for cheating, and it's like, okay, that's fine for a movie for tiny children, but This movie is intended for mid-range to adults who
I
already know this bullshit.
I think the whole purpose of that scene, and it's kind of a weak purpose, is to introduce this figure that wore the armor.
Yeah, I suppose. I
'Cause
don't remember the armor being there.
you see a giant statuette of her.
Okay, there's a difference between a statue and someone wearing armor. We'll get
Well,
to the armor. Don't you worry, folks. We'll get to the freaking armor.
you see
So-
the statue of her in the
Yeah.
armor.
You see a statue of somebody in the armor, and Diana gets disqualified from this marathon and gets told that you can't cheat your way to being great.
Okay, I just want to point this out there. Technically, it wasn't even cheating. Like, she fell off her horse, she slid down using her brain, and jumped back on the horse. Yes, she missed a target.
Well,
So-
you have to complete the checkpoints. If you try to bypass it, then that's cheating, buddy. You try winning a race in GTA and missing several checkpoints. You won't win. You probably won't win for a menagerie of other reasons, but
Well, I mean, there are things where shortcuts and things like that are built into certain video games, so we won't go by that logic.
yeah, but I'm talking about points where you have to hit checkpoints and go through stuff.
Yeah.
Miss
Anyway.
those checkpoints and you won't win the race, and that's the lesson there. And it's a stupid lesson, and it could have been easily folded in with a discussion with Cheetah before she becomes Cheetah.
Well,
Because-
then you.
Oh
then you
god,
cut-
we'll get to Cheetah too. Fuck, we have so much to go through.
Well, then you cut to the second opening, and it's her.
Smash cut to
saving
the second opening where she's saving the people in the mall. The movie should have started there.
Yeah, she's saving a bunch of randos too. Like it.
And that's
run-
fine.
She's running and saving people, and then ends up at the mall.
That's perfectly fine. It shows off like a morning for Wonder Woman is she goes through the city, she saves some people on her way to her normal job, and it's like, you know what, that's fine. That's cool. It does misunderstand how CCTVs work, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, this is CCTVs in the 80s, so.
But if you're still recording it, then they've already recorded Wonder Woman on the freaking cameras. It doesn't matter if she smashes the cameras later, it's still got her face. And it's on VHS or Betamax, depending on if they wanted to be pricey or not. And she rescues a child from a bunch of antique thieves, which sets up nicely for it. I say nicely, but it really doesn't have to have been set up that way, because honestly, they don't even need the mall high setup. They could have just had this stuff because they work in the Smithsonian and they get antiques and stuff and ancient artifacts and shit all the time. And so they didn't need a museum heist in a back shop of some kind of a jewelry boutique. How do you even do that? How do you fence artifacts where you're selling cubic zirconium rings? Who the fuck thought of this? Oh wait, I know exactly who thought of this. It was Patty Jenkins. This blows my mind, Jared. We know Patty Jenkins is an excellent director. She directed First Wonder Woman, and we know she's a good writer because she wrote and directed Monster, a very, very good movie. And so I don't know what the hell happened with this movie.
I mean, I think you're getting worked up and angry about it, man. I am not that angry.
Because it's I try and think about the movie and then everything starts falling apart and I'm like, well, now I can't enjoy the movie. What the fuck? So anyway, Wonder Woman, and we then cut over to the Smithsonian where we meet Barbara
Cheetah.
What's her name? Yeah, it's Cheetah. We meet Cheetah before she becomes Cheetah, and she's clumsy and awkward, but she's got a good heart. And I'm like, okay, I can understand where this is going. You want to set up an aspect that says, oh, she's a better person than who she becomes. She's nice, but awkward and overlooked. You have to live up to Diana, who stands next to you, and she's basically looks like she's chiseled out of marble, like a classical heroine. And it's like, okay, I get where this is going.
You mean somebody sculpted from clay and brought to life by the gods?
Yeah, we'll go with that. That would be hard figure to live up to while you're, standing there. And we get the one bit of development for her becoming Cheetah, which is when she looks at Diana's printed shoes. And he goes, "Oh, nice shoes." And that's it.
Yeah, they didn't do old Barbara Minerva much justice there.
Barbara Minerva, that's the name I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah.
I kept wanting to say Palaven, but that's a planet in Mass Effect.
Her, like, I don't know. This was a unique take on her origin story. I will say that. Because Cheetah, in pretty much every other iteration of the comic, is just kind of Cheetah, whether it be blood magic or a magic knife, or she's sometimes it's just a cheetah costume if you're going golden age. But I don't know, man, I wasn't like super mad about it. But then you get the introduction of this wishing stone that they don't really, they kind of explain it, but they don't explain it at the same time.
Goes to the wayside quickly, doesn't it?
And then her and Barbara just make individual wishes on this stone.
It's never really stated whether or not you need to verbally wish what you want to happen.
Well, Diana
doesn't say, "I would like Steve Trevor, the man who died in World War I in a plane explosion, back." And
I mean, that's kind of implied that she was thinking that wish.
The implication is fine, but everyone else has to very specifically state what they're wishing for.
So that's
bad writing is what that is.
Yes and no. Well, here's my take on it. As far as that, the wishing and all that is concerned, she kind of just like mentally made hers, but to a point, like the first guy who made a wish, it wasn't even those two that made a wish for first. It was some just random jackass who's like, "I wish I had a cup of coffee, ha ha ha!" And all of a sudden, he gets a cup of coffee.
Yeah, what was that guy's curse? Because it turns out that these wishes are cursed, like a monkey's paw thing. And
I think he dropped the copy on himself, or he burned himself, or some shit like that. I don't know.
Like that's how that works. Oh, I wish I had an extra coffee today. Oh, hey, I got an extra coffee. Oh no, a motorcycle plowed into my groin and I had all my testes peeled off terribly.
Well, so then you have Barbara you have Diana do hers, and it's just kind of a subtle little thing, like she thinks in her head.
Subtle in the world's most massive quotation marks there. The wind blows and she looks wistfully off to the distance.
Well, the whole wind blowing thing happens pretty much every time they wish on the stone. And then you get to the point where Barbara's just like, "Oh, God, I wish I was like Diana," and blah, 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 blah.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Because Diana Prince, the person that she knows, is very different from Diana of Themyscira. So how did the stone translate this as saying, okay, you want to be like Wonder Woman?
It's they at this point they use the kind of just
don't think about it.
Well, no, they use the classic that most movies use. It's magic. Fuck
we don't have to explain it. Yeah,
it's magic. Fuck you and shut up.
Watch pretty much. Yeah, just sit down and eat popcorn, watch movie, consume. So it turns out that Steve Trevor has been semi-reincarnated in the body of this other dude.
Okay, so...
And here's where we get to the most offensive bit of film since God, anything by Lucio Fulci, maybe?
How is this offensive? He's in another dude's body.
He is. Guess what? Other dude has no form of consent to any of this. Now, I can get by them making out and possibly having sex together. It's like, it's a little skeezy, but okay, fine. It's one of those, you're back together. You don't think about that immediately. You're like, yay, I'm happy to see you. It's so good.
Well,
then the rest of the movie, they put him in mortal peril.
Okay,
No, Steve understands that he is this person. And that only Diana sees him as Steve Trevor, and if he dies, other dude dies.
Okay,
that's not cool.
we're never really given who this other guy is, though. Was he
I
already
think it
dead
still
and
No, because you see him later.
Steve just got plopped into his body? Well,
Yes, you see him later, like as everything's wrapping up.
oh yeah, that was. I wasn't
Yeah,
sure if that was him or a dude
that
who looked like him. They
that's
dressed him
him.
differently.
That's him. No, because he's wearing the same stupid outfit that Steve Trevor comes out in with the fucking fanny pack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, not cool there, huh?
I mean, I think they did it like this though to avoid the complications of writing fucking time travel in.
You know a better version of not complicating things like that? Don't put Steve Trevor in this fucking movie. Because he's completely pointless. He's just there to serve as a hindrance. And by the way, it's really, really stupidly convenient that this is simultaneously her punishment, knowing that she will have to give up Steve Trevor in order for this other person to live, because you could have explored that avenue and been like, oh god, we're taking away another person's time on this planet. We're effectively killing him by not letting him be him. Like, that's not cool, and that's an interesting concept to explore. But instead we have to go with the cliche of, oh, Wonder Woman's losing her powers. Steve's got to go that way. And then she gives up Steve, and that instantly fixes things in some horribly 80-yard sections. Now, I do want to express.
So angry about this, man. Like,
no, that's what I want. I want to talk about. Between this point.
Here's my question for you, Sean. When did you get so mad about this movie? Because we had discussed this, and then
when I started thinking about this fucking movie. I was really tired when I watched it the first time, and I just sat back and I was like, oh, it's fine, it's fun. And then I started thinking about it, because I listened to our first review and the audio was garbage and I couldn't get anything to work right, and I was like, shit, we're gonna have to redo this. So I was like, all right, well, it's been a couple of days, I'll rewatch it, make sure I didn't miss any plot points. And then I sat there with a critical eye and I was like, what the fuck? What is this shit? This is terrible. Now, I will say, between the part where we get introduced to Steve Trevor and the part where we say goodbye to Steve Trevor, it really kind of devolves into schlock, and that was the part of the movie that I enjoyed the most. I'm just going to say that fight scene on the highway, the only road in Egypt, that was fun in a stupid way, because it looks terrible. That running effect that they did in Avengers or Captain America 3 that looked okay in the tunnel where they were running along with the cars, they do that here, and it looks awful. Like, just
because it's in daytime.
It's in full daytime. You can see everything, and it looks bad. But Wonder Woman goes jumping from APC to APC and trying to get Maxwell Lord, who has absorbed the wishing stone and has to make people wish for stuff in order for his powers to work, but the powers are killing him?
Okay, so he is basically, he becomes the wishing stone, and he gets to decide what the downside of people's wishes are this time. So,
but it looks like it's killing him at the same time.
It's taking a toll on his body. I think this was to try to be a head nod to what Maxwell Lord's powers in the comics were, but in the comics he had influence over people's minds, and if he used his powers too strenuously, he started to get nosebleeds and stuff like that. Classic psychic overload, basically. I guess it was a nod to that.
I guess because he starts looking like death, and he has to make people want to wish for something, and it's just so roundabout. I'm like, just make him wish for stuff and let him be the wisher, and that just has a downside that he either doesn't care about or doesn't notice because he's just so self-absorbed.
Well,
it's too much.
This is the point where we also discussed, if I was him, I would have been the worst villain ever, because I would have not done the obvious thing, or I would have done the obvious thing. I guess this is why I'll never be a great comic book villain. I would have totally just, with all the research he did on this stone, I would have just wished for infinite wishes with no negative side effects.
I mean,
And that would have
you
been my wish.
can.
So I could be like, now I wish for this, this, and this. And boom, I'm a billionaire. I have a house. I have no downsides, and I have oil everywhere. And I
Well,
live
I mean, that's
happily
what
ever after
it sets
the
up
end.
like he's like that's what's going to happen. He's going to wish like, oh, I wish that this, fields that I bought have oil in them. And then that happens and something awful happens as a repercussion, but
Like
instead
it just. See, I would have dug like he wished for oil, but it shifted something around in the planet's core and fucked with the planet. And now you have to race to get to him to get the stone to
well
undo the wish, or the
we'll
planet
get to
blows
what
up.
should have
Some shit
been.
like that.
We'll get to what should have been because that we'll get to that in after we've wrapped all this up because I have thoughts on this. We're not just going to be snarky armchair directors as some people like to call us. I will voice how I think this movie should have gone and how it could have been better. I don't know about good, but better. I'll definitely say that. But and all while Wonder Woman's enjoying her time with Steve Trevor, Maxwell Lord is out there making people want things and having to have them wish for stuff in the most circuitous way. And
Like, don't you wish this happened?
yeah, well,
Or
I
tell
do
me.
wish that happened. How'd you know? My favorite example of that is like the Irish guy who's arguing with a woman. And
Uh,
she just wishes like, oh, I wish you would all just be taken back to where you came from. And he's like, oh, I wish you was dead. And he turns around and there's a policeman just bashing people in the head and throwing them in the back of wagons. And she just starts choking, falling over. It's so dumb. But while all that's going on, Maxwell Lord's making people want stuff, and this Saudi prince asks for a wall around ancient Egypt, and
he was the real Donald Trump.
I guess, oh god, yeah,
He built a wall.
he built a wall. They wanted to kick people out of their country. Every man in here is horrible.
Egyptian Donald Trump.
There's Egyptian Donald Trump. There's American Donald Trump. It's everybody's Trump. It's terrible.
Just remember, Sean, life is good, but it can be better.
I will give this movie this. Pedro Pascal chewing the scenery as Maxwell Lord is wonderful to watch because he is just so into his character. Which is weird because it's the pretty much exact opposite for Gal Gadot, who just looks like she could not give less of a shit, just all throughout this movie. Which is strange to me because Wonder Woman, she pulled off the wide-eyed, not quite innocent, but wondered look quite well, and it worked a lot right up until the very end when it turned into a giant CG barf explosion. And I think. I don't know what happened.
Jaded Wonder Woman not doing it for you?
No, it wasn't.
Well, see, I'm just waiting for the sequel to this where we get Wonder Woman between Batman v Superman in 1984 where she gives up on humanity.
You just see her in her apartment drinking. She's just like, looks out the window. A plane just flew into the trade towers. Fuck it.
Well, I mean,
they
if
were
you
all
remember,
assholes anyway.
In Batman v Superman, she had basically given up on the human race and stopped being a hero.
I know.
Even her armor was not colored anymore.
Nothing was colored in Batman v Superman. I'm pretty sure that movie was shot entirely in hideous gray soup.
Yeah, let's not. But I need to see the movie. Like, where does she become jaded? Does, like, Maxwell Lord kick her dog or something?
This is my dog, Steve. Max, Mr. Max Lord, I know you did bad things, but please, say hello to my dog. Oh, hello, dog. Things could be better, like how I don't like dogs. You bastard.
Or it'll be she falls in love with somebody else, and then she falls in love with somebody else, and they break her heart. That's Wonder Woman 3 right there. It's like, oh, I had so much hope. Steve told me I could move on, and I didn't.
God, that is... Can we talk about how Wonder Woman feels the need to be defined by a man in this? When the first movie set it up fairly well that she did not hold these expectations. Like, she goes out to dinner and she's like, are you with someone? No. And then she gazes longingly up in the sky.
And she like was still doing things like rejecting dates, refusing to like, and it's shown
Yeah,
she's
she's
like kicking.
rejecting dates from scumbags and
Well, it's
fucking
also
wiener
like
men.
she didn't even want to share a cab with a dude. Like he's
Now,
like this one guy was he was outside and he waved the cab down and she
yeah,
waved the cab down at the same time. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We can share." And she's like, "No." It's
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
like
But
you could
you know who
literally
that
punch
cab
this
stopped
man's
for?
face in.
You know who that cab stopped for? Not the woman. Bet it was a man behind the wheel of that taxi cab that stopped for another man.
It was the 80s, of course it was. Let's not kid ourselves. It was the 80s, man.
This is simultaneously the most ridiculous and yet a spot-on portrayal of the 80s. Just men acting like assholes, greed is rampant through society, women are looked down on as second-class citizens. All we're missing is Maxwell Lord doing coke with the president, and I think that's it.
I mean, the guy who played the president seemed like he was on coke.
No, he was too low-key. He was on downers.
We need more nukes!
Oh, God. But yeah, Steve and Wonder Woman reunite, and they have to go stop Maxwell Lord, who they figure out is in Egypt. How did they figure out he was in Egypt?
They broke into his office and he had a ticket.
Okay.
An airplane ticket to Egypt.
Okay. So, yeah, that happens.
They fly the invisible jet for the one and only time in this movie.
They fly the invisible jet, and I was actually okay with this. I was like, it's fine. You know what I wasn't okay with? The fact that you can sit there and whisper in a jet cockpit. Do you have any idea how loud a jet is? They're sitting there, no ear protection, no nothing, and yet they're just, oh, hello, Steve, how are you? I'm fine, Diana. This is wonderful flight we're having.
It was a top secret military jet designed for stealth.
Bullshit. And it was not designed to herself, otherwise she wouldn't have had to have stolen it.
I said stealth, not herself.
Oh, stealth. Sorry. If it was built for stealth, why'd she have to turn it invisible?
Because they still could track it on radar?
Well, then it's not stealth. Stealth means you can get by shit like that. Also, maybe don't try doing Inviso magic, like, right then. Maybe try that before then, like you could do a jet, not when life and death scenario is happening.
But just didn't you hear she had done it once before she lost her favorite hairbrush?
Yes. Also, way to pull power out of your ass for one scene. Oh my God, this is one of the tropes I hate the most that I really was glad that Wonder Woman, or the first Wonder Woman, didn't do. My father cooked Themyscira in a magical aura, and I'm trying to see if I can do it too. See, it's a generational thing. She can do it because her dad did it. Fuck that. Have her be taught by some ancient wise woman from Themyscira. They had tons of people there. All of them were there from Grecian times.
You mean the one? You mean the one she found her armor but never actually saw her?
Yeah. Oh God, because we have this armor that's set up again in massive quotations. When they go to do this. And Steve looks over and is like, hey, what's in that bag? And she's like, it's a very specific set of armor that I will use one day when I need to take down a corrupt businessman or some shit. And it's just like, why is this even here? God, you had a sword last movie. What was wrong with that?
The sword was shattered.
You can't reforge that shit?
Well, because remember, it wasn't the sword that was special, it was her.
Fine, Wonder Woman has plenty of other powers. I don't give a shit. She doesn't need the fucking armor. She does not need the Kingdom Come armor.
Oh my God. It's not just Kingdom Come.
It's not now, but it was initially made for the book Kingdom Come.
It showed up other places, though.
After the book! Because everybody looked at it and thought, oh, that's cool. I'll put it in here. With no regard to thought or context. Just like this movie, they just looked at it and, oh, that's cool. We'll put it in here. Why does this exist? I don't know. It's cool. Shut up. She can use it to fly. Doesn't she have an invisible jet? Shut up. Can't she lasso lightning? Shut up. Can't she do that in the little scene where she just kind of helicopters her lasso around and also flies? I told you, shut up, nerd! And then they dump that person's books because apparently they're all in high school, and that happens. But yeah, Maxwell Lord just goes around making wishes, making everything shitty, and they figure out that people have to renounce their wishes in order to make things okay again, because it's all monkey paw wishes. So if you don't want the downside, you got to say, I renounce my wish.
Yeah, and it seems to, I don't know, it was kind of just random shit in the wishes too. Like,
yeah, like the one thing that's sort of set up is how Barbara Minerva starts becoming more and more of an asshole as the movie progresses. Like, you see her earlier, she stops and helps a homeless guy. She gives him a little bit of her sandwich.
yeah, she's a really nice, sweet person,
Yeah.
and then
she gets hit on by this pervert, this 80s pervert who just stumbles over and is like, hey, baby, why don't I walk you home?
And then Diana steps in and kicks his ass.
Yeah. And then she encounters him again on her nightly run that I guess she does.
She was running from somewhere to somewhere else and then just proceeded to kick the dog shit out of this guy.
Yeah, does he have superpowers? No, he doesn't.
He just got the dog shit kicked out of him.
He died. Because you don't just slam somebody into the side of a van and cave it in like that without causing irreparable spinal damage to a person, as well as several broken bones in the process. That man was dead. Just flat out, he's dead.
Yeah, but it's the 80s. They're not going to believe a woman used superpowers to kill a man.
I guess.
Once again, this movie is a victim of the time frame.
A time frame that they never really take advantage of. Like, there's nothing 80s specific that really happens.
Come on, you saw that big ass shopping mall. That's the only time malls were big.
The 90s, malls were pretty big then.
Well, I'm from a small town, and I've only ever lived with our little shitty mall. So,
well, that's your fault, bud.
I mean, I've seen the Little Rock Mall once or twice, but it's still not that great.
Anyway, where were we?
She does random things and gets the golden armor and
she renounces her wish, and they say goodbye in a horrible, horrible ADR moment, because I'm fairly certain Chris Pine was just like, fuck this, I'm not coming back on set again. You could record these goodbye, Diana, I'll always miss you.
Well,
live on for something
actually,
else.
It's Chris Pine was like, man, now I gotta go make this Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Yeah, sure. And they decide, and that's when Wonder Woman learns how to fly again, because she lassos clouds.
Well, it looks like she was flying and then lassoing lightning. It wasn't made clear.
No, it's really not. And then she flies, and they recite the words that were whispered in the jet. It's like, flying is just not falling, or some shit. It's stupid. And I was just like, fucking get on with it. You could trim like almost 45 minutes of this goddamn movie and nothing would be lost. Oh my god. But it turns out that Barbara is now working with Maxwell Lord after they learn about the wishing stone granting negative aspects to wishes, and she protects him a little bit when Diana went to fight him.
It's because she doesn't want to give her wish up.
She didn't want to give her wish up, and then
they fight in the White House, and then Diana does recant her wish and all that.
Okay, hang on. Before they fight in the White House, quite possibly one of the dumbest things ever gets said when they talk about how they have this satellite system that can beam signals into any, and I quote, any thing that can receive a picture, somehow including computer screens, even though that's not how computer screens work at all. Like,
yeah,
even today, they don't work like that. But you can broadcast this message apparently to any screen anywhere because satellites work that way, except they horribly don't. Like, you can even broadcast it to other places on the planet where you don't have a receiver dish that would be able to pump out the information. Jared, I don't know how this works, and it's hurting my brain.
Sean, fuck you. It's comics.
Fuck you, it's sci-fi technology from the 80s. We ain't gotta explain jack shit.
I mean, that's basically it. Fuck you.
So,
It's magic.
Wonder Woman renounces her wish, and Steve Trevor vanishes from around a corner, and then she dons her gold-plated armor that was set up, and flies.
Go Wonder Woman Ranger.
Pretty much, she flies down to wherever. I will say this, the fight scene between her and Cheetah after she wished to become an apex predator, which is, there's loopholes in that, like a lot. Like she's on a plane and she says to Maxwell Lord, I wish I was an apex predator. And I'm just like, there's a lot of different apex predators. Are you sure you know what you're wishing for here? But apparently that leads to her becoming Cheetah Woman. Even, things like sharks, alligators, people, bears. All those are considered apex predators as well.
Sean, they had to make her cheetah for the sake of the movie.
Yeah, they had to make her cheetah somehow, and then she beats her up in a mercifully short fight. It's all so dark, you can barely see what's going on, so it's just like, whatever, we're done. It doesn't end up being the Ares fight scene that goes on for way, way too long.
And she ends up electrocuting her and not electrocuting herself.
Yeah. I guess gold isn't a conductor in water.
I guess Wonder Woman's immune to electricity. I don't know.
That's why she doesn't have a TV. She just shorts stuff out. That's why she lives in a dark apartment. Because she shorts all the light bulbs out. She just naturally emits electricity field. It blocked it out.
That theory is broken because she had a room full of television screens hidden where the golden armor was.
Shit!
Sorry to burst your bubble there.
Wonder Woman, you fucked me again. There are people who would pay good money for that, but we're not going to go there. But she goes in.
I think that's a different movie, Sean.
Yeah, that's the porno variant. She goes into this bunker where Maxwell Lord is standing in front of the presidential seal, and it really looks a lot like a certain president. Standing there rambling and shouting like a crazy person into the cameras at the entire world about how he can make things better until
former president, Sean, former president.
Well, at the time of this recording, he's still got 14 days, so we'll see what happens then. And he then inexplicably walks away from the cameras and into this giant glowing light, and Wonder Woman uses her lasso of truth. It's a lasso of many things, actually. We'll start calling it that because it can do just anything they want it to do, ranging from getting people to tell the truth, to lassoing lightning, to wrapping around somebody and making them see what's going on in the world.
To flashbacks of somebody she had never met.
Yeah, doing that. And she makes him realize the error of his ways, and he runs away.
To see his son.
To see his son that he abandoned. Don't worry, because we didn't bring up the son earlier. This is the most impact that he has in the entire movie, is right now.
And everybody in the world except one person renounces their wish.
Theoretically, because she does stop being a cheetah woman and goes back to being regular Barbara looking.
Okay.
Regular looking.
So that was with Maxwell Lord, though. Like, when he was draining power from people, he was using that channel to not only make himself better, but to turn Barbara Minerva into the cheetah. So when everyone recanted their wish, that took the cheetah form away from her. But she never actually says she took her wish back.
If you say so, I'll hold you to that one.
I'm just saying it's how they're gonna throw Kristen Wiig as cheetah. Like they'll probably get into the blood magic next to make her cheetah. In Wonder Woman 3.
We'll have to see what happens for Wonder Woman 3. But that was the end of Wonder Woman, 1984.
No, you forgot the cutscene.
Oh God, that's right, the cutscene, the best part in the entire movie, where
Linda
Carter shows up
and she
saves somebody.
And she is this magical Amazonian warrior who originally wore the armor.
And I don't care about that. I was just like, hey, Linda Carter's back. I'm so happy.
Well, you know what makes me happy? Linda Carter is now canon in 3 different DC universes.
Sure, why not?
I mean, she is. She's in the DC multiverse that the CW set up. She is the president of the United States in Supergirl. She is this other Amazon in Wonder Woman 1984, and she is Wonder Woman in a different timeline.
Yeah, but that's Wonder Woman, and it's just kind of a giant wet fart of a movie.
So, Sean, how would you have made this
Okay.
better? You said we were going to talk about this.
There's a couple options for this. One is like get rid of the Maxwell Lord plot. Just let him be in the movie like as a background character. That's fine, but keep the plot more focused on Wonder Woman and Kristen Wiig.
Okay.
And just have it be like they have to work on something like say there's an ancient weapon of the gods out there, and you can bring in a Soviet era supervillain, the KG Beast. Bring in the KG Beast, and Wonder Woman has to team up, and and Kristen Wiig has to help her find it, and along the way, she gets these superpowers similar to Wonder Woman's, and that's where she brings in the whole, you have to be very careful with these. They're not just something you can wield. It took me my entire life to understand and appreciate these powers and how they function and how they make me unique and different and how I can help people with them. And then you have the whole effectively Kristen Wiig is now jaded by Diana House. It's like, you've been Wonder Woman and you could have done like all this different stuff, and yet you've squandered it. And she starts out by kind of trying to be better than her, be bigger than her, and it goes to her head, and she just kind of goes on this power trip. And like,
okay, and then the artifact they're looking for happens to be the knife from the comic.
Sure.
That originally turned Cheetah into Cheetah, and she uses it and kills the KG Beast and becomes Cheetah.
Exactly. And then Wonder Woman and her have to have a showdown because she's going to try and use the same methods and ways that the KG Beast was going to make the Soviet Russia rule the world or some shit. And she's going to be like, no, it needs to be under a more direct control. And then Wonder Woman and her have to tussle. And that's how you come down on that.
I can dig it.
Yeah, that's how it should have happened. The other option is keep the Maxwell Lord plot, but lose the Cheetah plot, because you don't need both of these. They just get in each other's way and clumsily fall over each other.
Yeah, it's like when DC tried to cram in Doomsday with Batman v Superman.
It's very much like that, actually.
When you already had like Lex Luthor and other things serving as the
speaking
villain.
Of movies that had way too many fucking plot lines for its own good.
Yeah. Like, you have the contesting of Batman versus Superman and Lex Luthor being the master manipulator in there. You could have cut out the whole Doomsday plot and saved yourself so much time and so many angry fanboys.
We'll get around to talking about Batman v Superman one day.
I haven't been able to sit through the movie twice.
Tell you what, audience, if we get this channel to let's be generous, let's say 100 subscribers. At 100 subscribers, Jared and I will sit down and talk about Batman v Superman and all its horrible failings. And we'll be like the 80 millionth channel to do so, because that's like all people talked about for a while. Actually, there are still breakdowns going on of Batman v Superman for some people. Like there are still people talking about that fucking movie and how it just absolutely fails. Oh,
I mean, God. It does.
It does. It sucks.
The extended cut is worse.
There's a joke that Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the director's cut, is exactly what that movie doesn't need. More footage. That is more accurately applied to Batman v Superman, I feel. The last thing that movie needs is more footage.
Yeah, that bitch is like 3 hours long and makes no sense.
So long and terrible. Anyway, that's my design on fixing Wonder Woman 1984. Like, you give it a reason to be in the 80s, like with the KG Beast and the Soviets versus the Americans, and you have Cheetah be the overarching bad. Well, she wouldn't be a bad guy per se, but she'd be an antagonist later in the movie. And you run it like that. I think that would have worked. I think that would have been fine.
Yeah, I don't know, the just using Maxwell Lord in general, like kind of, I think they used him for his name more than anything, as
Yeah.
opposed to like not a lot of people except like hardcore comic readers and fans know who KG Beast is. Anyone
But
who
that's
watched
the
this,
perfect time to bring out a C-grade villain like that.
yeah. But like any asshole who watched the Supergirl TV show knows in some shape or form who Maxwell Lord is. A very different Maxwell Lord, but Maxwell Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. Well, how would you fix it, Jared? What would you do different?
I actually probably I would have either done
and lose the Steve Trevor plot, because that's pointless and stupid, and Wonder Woman does not need a man to define her existence, and shoehorning that entire romantic subplot in just extended things unnecessarily. Get it out. Just eject it. Like Ripley ejects the alien.
I would have done something more along the lines of Maxwell Lord using the stone to just wish for all these things, but it's kind of like the monkey's paw, and his wishes are granted, but it's causing like terrible damage to the planet. Like he wishes for oil to fill up in the fields that had none before, but it causes a shift in the earth and fucks with the earth's core, and it's like a race to destroy. They have to destroy the stone and undo it, something like that.
I can see
and
that.
all along it could have been like a trickster god manipulating him or something, but then you would have gotten too close to like Loki plot lines copying Marvel. But
it would have been more interesting, I can tell you that.
You could have had like some ancient Greek trickster god using basically manipulating Maxwell Lord the entire time, or like, you know, kind of being the fucking devil on his shoulder, and he wouldn't have noticed it, and then like at the end Wonder Woman could have had another showdown with a god possibly, and you know, had to destroy the god to destroy the stone and fix the world.
Yeah. No, I could see that. I could see that working. It would probably feel a little samey from Wonder Woman, but I could see it working better than how this worked. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and I mean, this also could have been the movie where, like, even though she did this and saved the world, like, because Maxwell Lord was such a popular guy, like, basically everybody turned on her, and that's where she lost her faith in humanity.
I could see it.
Like, everybody's like, he was just living the life. Like, how dare you do this to him? And blah 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 blah. And you know, basically.
Yeah, but see, then we get into the problem that Batman v Superman established, where she's this mopey old person who just sits around and does nothing while things go to shit, and that shouldn't have happened. It should never have been Wonder Woman that does that.
Well, I mean, that's how you get her to that point, because
we don't need her at that point.
Well, if they do a third movie, they're either going to have to get her to that point or jump over and have it hopefully be past Justice League.
Just make it past Justice League. Just put everything else past that and be done.
I just want like a Shazam Superman buddy cop movie.
That would be fun.
That's what I want. I want a Shazam Superman buddy cop movie, because I mean, The Rock is somehow going to play Black Adam and bring in the JSA, and I don't know. They're about to fuck their multiverse again.
Yeah. Well, those are our thoughts on Wonder Woman 1984 and how to fix it, as well as like a bunch of other stuff.
Yep.
Jared?
Just remember, guys, life is good, but it can be better.
It can be better.
If you just follow my pyramid scheme.
Just wish it so.
Just like and subscribe to Sean's channel and your life will be better.
Don't you wish I had more subscribers, Jared?
I do wish.
I can feel it happening. You hear that, universe? And now there's going to be some horrible problem. I'm going to get all the subscribers, but they're all going to be either bots or horrible assholes that all hate me.
You're gonna get all of Logan Paul's subscribers.
Oh God, why? No, Jesus, God, Jared. God, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. I quit. I'm done. I'm done with YouTube. Goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Don't you want to fight Floyd Mayweather?
No, he'll kill me.
Like he's gonna kill Logan Paul.
Oh God. We'll see you next time, everybody.
All right, later.
Laters.